Have been with my wife, 30F, for 5 years, married for 2. I'm an architectural consultant, so I'm a guy who literally gets paid to notice when things aren't structurally sound. I should have noticed the cracks in my own marriage a lot sooner, but I guess I was too busy building a life for us. We had this massive housewarming and anniversary party planned for last Saturday. I'd gone all out. We're talking $4,000 on high-end catering, a professional bartender, and the kind of top-shelf liquor that makes your eyes water when you see the receipt. This all went down at my house, a place I bought entirely with my own inheritance and savings years before I even met her. Because of that, and a very specific prenup her own father insisted on to protect her, the house is legally 100% mine. The trouble started about 3 days before the party. My wife casually mentions that her close friend is coming. This friend is her ex-boyfriend. They were together for 4 years before me. This guy didn't just break her heart. He ruined her credit and left her with a mountain of debt that I ended up paying off so we could start our lives together. She'd been reconnecting with him lately, claiming she needed closure. I told her flat out, I don't want him in our home, especially not at a party celebrating our marriage. She didn't even flinch. She just looked at me with this weird, cold entitlement and said, he's coming. He needs to see I'm doing well. It's important for my healing. If you're uncomfortable, you can leave. Go to a hotel for the night. I'll handle the hosting. I was stunned. She was telling me to leave the house I paid for during a party I funded so she could hang out with her deadbeat ex. I didn't blow up. I just looked at her and said, understood. She thought she'd won. She spent the next 2 days bragging to her mom and friends about how supportive I was being. But while she was out getting her hair done on the morning of the party, I did a little digging. I have a full Ring and Nest camera system. I checked the logs from 2 weeks ago when I was away on a business trip. The footage was devastating. My wife wasn't just talking to him. He had been at my house while I was gone. The cameras showed them walking into our bedroom. He didn't leave until 4 hours later, and he was wearing one of my expensive dress shirts because he'd apparently spilled wine on his. The betrayal was documented. Now, it was time for the demolition. The party was supposed to start at 7 p.m. Saturday morning. As soon as she left to pick up the cake, I moved. First, I called the caterers and the bartender. I told them there was a plumbing emergency and the event was canceled. I'd already paid the 50% deposit, so they didn't care. They just took the day off. Then I opened my laptop. I have a BCC group of all 60 guests, our friends, my family, and her parents. I sent a very short, very honest email. I told everyone that the party was off because my wife had informed me that she wanted to host her ex-boyfriend and that I should stay at a hotel if I was uncomfortable. I explained that I was taking her advice and leaving so she could host him alone, and I asked everyone not to show up. I packed my bags, grabbed my wedding ring, and left it on the kitchen island right on top of a printed-out photo of her ex wearing my shirt from the security footage. Then I checked into a hotel and turned my phone to Do Not Disturb for everyone except my sister. By 4 p.m., my phone was exploding. My wife called 42 times. Her mother left 15 voicemails. The first one I listened to was my wife screaming about how embarrassed she was because her parents were at the door and people were asking if she was having an affair. The second was from my mother-in-law, calling me controlling and abusive for humiliating her daughter. She threatened to tell everyone I was a monster if I didn't fix this and call the party back on. I just watched the Ring camera feed. My wife was in the foyer, losing it. And get this, the ex actually showed up. He was standing in my living room with a bottle of cheap wine, asking where the food was. Then my wife did something truly insane. She called the police. She told them I had locked her out and that she felt unsafe because of my erratic behavior. She was clearly trying to get a domestic incident report started, so she could kick me out of my own house legally later. I called the police non-emergency line immediately and asked to speak to the officers at the scene. I told them exactly who I was, that I was the homeowner at a hotel, and that I had video of her and her guest. I explained she wasn't locked out, she had her own key, and that she was just mad I canceled a party. The officers actually stepped back from her on the camera feed. They told her it was a civil matter and warned her about filing false reports. Her ex didn't even care. He just sat on my leather sofa and put his feet up. My phone buzzed with a text from her. Fine. I'm staying here. You can't kick me out of the marital home. I'll have him stay here every night. You'll be paying the mortgage while we sleep in your bed. See you in court. She forgot that I'm an architect. I know how to make a building uninhabitable without breaking a single law. On Sunday morning, I called the utility companies. Since the accounts are in my name and paid by my separate funds, I reported a major pipe burst and a potential electrical fire hazard and requested immediate suspension of service for safety while I was out of town. By 10 a.m., the house was dark and the water was off. I also have a professional smart home security system. I sat in my hotel room and started testing the 110 decibel sirens for 60 seconds every half hour. By the afternoon, her father showed up. He's a retired contractor and a reasonable guy. He looked at the Ring camera and just sighed. He called me and said, "I saw the photo you sent the family, son. I get it. Just let her pack her things and I'll take her home." I told him she had 2 hours. I told him if that parasite ex-boyfriend touched a single piece of my furniture, I was calling the cops for theft. The ex scurried out to his car the second he heard that. My wife came out an hour later, crying and yelling at the camera that she was going to take half of everything. What she didn't know was that I'd found out she was funneling the household allowance I gave her, about $45,000 over the last year, into a separate account to fund her ex's business, which was really just him gambling. Under our prenup, wasteful dissipation of marital assets has to be paid back in full. When we got to court, her lawyer tried the abuse angle, asking for $10,000 a month in alimony. My lawyer just handed the judge a tablet with the footage from the night of the party, after the police left. You could clearly hear my wife laughing with her ex about how they were going to drain me dry and how she'd have her mom lie about the hitting to get the house. The judge's face turned to stone. In my state, if you're caught conspiring to commit perjury and making up domestic violence claims, your credibility is toast. The judge denied her alimony, denied her the house, and gave her 48 hours to get the rest of her stuff under police supervision. As I walked out, her mother hissed at me that her daughter was now staying in a motel. I just told her to ask the ex for the $45,000 back. I'm back in my house now. I've changed the locks and replaced the furniture they sat on. It's quiet. 2 halves the foundation is solid, and I'm finally living in a house that isn't built on lies. If you want to know how to properly renovate a toxic relationship, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of blueprints for dealing with entitlement.